Hey guys, good afternoon, everybody. Today is Monday, March 27th. It is 1:59 p.m. Scheduled mentoring sessions for 2 p.m. So just gonna get a few more moments for people to make their way in, and then we will get started shortly. Just got to update a couple of things here. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to put your questions in the chat. And we'll cover whatever you guys need help with for today. Just a couple more things here to update. And we should be good to go. All right, perfect. Let me get this link sent out to you guys here in the premium. All right, link is posted up. We'll get a few moments for people to make their way in, and then we'll get started shortly. All right, a few more places to post this up. All right, cool. I think we're good to go. So I'll get a few more moments for people to join, and then we will get started with our mentoring session for today. So good afternoon, everybody. Today is Monday, March 27th. It's 2:02 right now. Scheduled mentoring sessions for 2 p.m. If you guys have any questions, feel free to put your questions in the chat. We don't really have anything specific to cover today, but for the most part, we'll probably just be going over the entries that came up today. So if there's any questions in specific that you guys have, feel free to put your questions in the chat. The session's for you guys. So whatever you guys need help with, let me know, and I can help you guys with, basically whatever you guys need help with. So yeah, if there's any questions, reach out. Otherwise, we will just take questions as they come. And then we'll also focus mainly on the, let's review pretty much all the entries that came up today. There's about 3 entries that came up today, I believe. 2 official ones, one that came up right after we got off the live session. I actually took the trade myself. So I took 3 trades today, all full TPs. Only 2 of them are going to count because that's what we took during the live session. But I'll go over that one as well. Hey, Martha, how's it going? Yeah, sure. That's going to be our main topic for today. So Martha's asking if we can go over the high-low scalp. And we will take a look at that. So first question is from Martha. So we'll first look at the high-low scalp, and then we'll look over the other entries from today. Yeah, we'll look at the old one. Gotcha, Martha. All right, cool. So I'll just get started now. And if there's any other questions, feel free to put your questions in the chat, and then we'll cover whatever you guys need help with. So we'll start off with the high-low scalp first, which is one that a lot of people are typically, applying. So let me just go over here real quick. I'll just rewind it to like noon. That's when the volatility started to die down a little bit. Go back a little further, see if there's anything here. Let me just go back a little further. Maybe like around 10. All right, so going back from earlier this morning, I'm just going to see if I can find any here. I'll make sure there's, I'll put the criteria here for the high-low scalp. So the problem with this here is that, well, there's not really a problem, but we have to look at the overall buy. So looking over here, I'm just going to rewind it on the shorter time frames too, so that I can have an idea of like where the bias currently was. All All right, so I'm just looking over here. The bias was a little bit iffy today. So I mean, depending on where this entry was, let me see if I can find an entry here, and then I'll go back and I'll try to go over all the criteria. A couple criteria here that we can't really confirm is going to be retail sentiment. I mean, it's bullish, so it's not going to be that difficult. Fundamentals, we can't check that, so we'll have to assume that. But the technical bias we can look at. So I'm just go over here real quick. I'm going to see if I can find one entry here, and then I'll go over the criteria. Big as this candle. This candle's fine. Okay, so let's go over this one right here because this is probably the actually let me I want to find a good example for you guys so that there's no confusion. Because I'm looking over here and the bias here is kind of it's kind of iffy because they're not all on the same. I'm just gonna look for when price was bullish, which is basically over here past 10. Yeah, basically anything after 10, because that's when the trend was actually moving directional. So we could probably use, let me check this one right here. That one doesn't work because it's yeah, none of those work right there. Yeah, we just got to push forward a little further. Okay, I think there's one right here. Let me just check real quick. All right, let me just look over here real quick. So there's one, no, it's touching the high right there. Yeah, because I wasn't trading around this time, so I don't know what the overall bias was, because I typically don't look at the overall bias anymore since I don't really care too much about what's going on there. Okay, so basically between 11 and 12 is where we would find, because that's when the market started trending to the upside. No, that's not one there. That wasn't one there either. I actually don't see any high-low scalps that came up, because the thing is, you have to look at, so for the first step right here, you need to confirm the overall bias. So I'll try to look for one where there's an overall bias, but it's not looking like there was any high-low scalps here. Let me check Christian, because Christian did show me one. I didn't look at the one he sent me, but so Christian, is this your time? I believe this is your time though, right? Because you sent me this at 8, so 9, 10. I'm assuming it's like 8:45. The problem with that entry right there, Christian, is I don't think that was an entry. So I'm not sure if you were looking, because I'm looking over here at like 8 something and it does not look like price. Well, I mean, it looks like it's kind of bullish. So I guess you could kind of say, and I'll try to find that here. It's just difficult looking for the high-low scalps when it's off session, because you have to look at the time frames across the 1 minute, 5 minute, 10 minute, and okay, let me just see if I can find your entry right here. Looks like the entry that you were looking at was like at 8:50. I mean, I might be wrong, but I think it was this one right here. Yeah, this is what it looks like. So this is the one that Christian caught. But we'll just use this as an example, okay? So Martha, I'll try to show you an example here, but it's going to be hard for me to like look between, because we can't look at certain requirements after the fact, because like there's no way we could go back and see what the fundamental bias was at the time. But I do remember from earlier this morning, it was bullish, right? So this morning we were looking at the fundamental bias. The only reason I knew it was bullish was because I looked at CNBC during our live session. So we were on the live, and I looked over here and I remember the Dow was up like over 100 points. So for me personally, just from like what we looked at during the live session, we got off the live session on 8:30. It was like shortly before this entry here, because this is 8:48. So I could assume that the fundamentals were bullish. The fundamentals are bullish right now, but it's really hard to look back. You have to look at it during real time. So first criteria over here, first confirm the overall bias. Retail sentiment was bullish. The reason why I knew that already was because I looked over here at the COT data, the COT data, and it showed that the retail traders were selling, right? It was 9,248 short. So with that said, we want to do the opposite, and that's going to be retail sentiment. So for that situation, we're looking for a bullish bias here. For the fundamental bias, we had a bullish bias as well, because the fundamentals here were above 100 points. So for this here, it was also bullish. Lastly, technical bias over here. This was also a confirmation of a technical bias, because we looked over here. Let me just see if I can pull it up. It's just kind of difficult to look back in time because this is like so late. Or let me see. Okay, this is, yeah, it was bullish, I guess. So if we were to rewind it over here, it was bullish, but it wasn't a strong bullish bias. But we already had the two biases, so we already confirmed that it was bullish. So the 10-minute over here, let me go and open the pivots real quick and the trend meter. Yeah, so I guess you could assume it was bullish here. I mean, it wasn't a strong bullish. Well, I mean, technically it was. Wasn't a super strong bullish trend, but it was, you know, somewhat bullish to some extent, to the point where you can take the entry and you'll feel comfortable about it. The reason why you would feel comfortable about it is because the other criteria is already met, right? So you're looking over here at criteria 1. Retail sentiment was bullish, fundamental bias is bullish. It's okay if the technicals were like neutral or bullish or somewhat bullish, because you already had these two here that were already strong. So for step 1, confirm overall bias here is bullish. For step 2, you want to confirm the previous high-low using the high-low indicator. So looking at this right here, this is the previous high-low. There's one over here, but this candle already touched it, so it's invalidated. The next high-low would be this one right here. This is the most recent one. So step 1, confirm overall bias. It's bullish. Step 2, confirm the previous high-low using the high-low indicator. The previous high-low is right here. And you want to confirm that 5 candles have passed to establish it. So from this candle right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 candles have passed. This high-low has been established. With that said, you want to confirm that you're trading in the direction of momentum using the K2 momentum indicator. Momentum indicator is right here. So we have a bullish momentum. We're looking for a buy with regard to bias, and we're also looking for a buy here with regard to momentum. So we have the bias and we also have momentum here. For step 5, you want to confirm that price is not ranging or consolidating. Price broke out of this area here. So price was ranging at the moment, but price broke past it. So price broke past this range right here, and it's no longer ranging because price broke and closed past it, right? So with that said, step 5 has been met. Step 6, you want to confirm price has not touched previous swing before the break and close. So before this candle right here broke and closed past it, there was no candles that touched it, right? So with that said, all criteria here has been met. So with that said, all the criteria here is met. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and step 5, and step 6. Now you can enter on the open of the following candle. So with that said, everything here has been met. You enter a long position right here on this candle close. You set up your TP stop loss, 1030 split. You let the trade run, and there you go, full TP on the next candle. So there's one example right there for a high-low scalp. Again, you know, it's kind of difficult for us to confirm step 1. So I could show you another example, Martha, but just keep in mind that you have to actually check the retail sentiment, fundamental bias, and technical bias. We just can't check when we're backtesting because this is so far into the session, right? Where it's like, it's too far forward where we can't really look back and identify what the retail sentiment was or the fundamental bias. It's just that I knew it was bullish because when we were looking for entries today, we were mainly looking for buys because retail sentiment with regard to the COT data was bullish and the fundamentals here were also bullish. Martha's asking, so it's price breaking previous? No, it could not just higher highs or lower lows. It can be higher highs or higher lows, or lower highs or higher lows. So it doesn't have to be a higher high or a lower low. It could be any high low. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a higher high or lower low, but the higher high or the lower low would be better criteria. So I would probably recommend that you do follow the higher high or lower low, but it's not necessary, not for this specific strategy. because it's just any high low. So it can be like a lower high right here, or it can be a lower high. There's another entry right here. So I'll just rewind to this right here, Martha. This is going to be a great entry because the trend wasn't very strong. But again, looking at the bias over here, the bias was already confirmed with regard to everything else. So overall bias, you can have one that's like neutral. So like if the trend right here was neutral, then if you had retail sentiment and fundamental bias, that's still fine because you have overall, right? You have 2 to 1. So in that case, we already had a bullish retail sentiment, bullish fundamental bias. Right here, you can see it's not a higher high, it's a lower high, but you can use this as well. So we have an overall bullish bias, a lower high right here, price breaking close past it right here. We're trading the direction of momentum because there's a buy signal right here. You confirm price is not ranging or consolidating, and no candles have touched it prior. So with that said, there is another entry here for a buy. That'd be a 1030 split right there. You have that lined up. And you can see price kind of bounces around a bit, but eventually pushes back up and blasts right through TP. So yeah, if you need any other examples, Martha, let me know. But you can see it's pretty simple. I mean, the criteria makes it sound a little difficult, but when you actually see it on the chart, it's not really that bad. You're just basically waiting for price to break and close past the previous high low. But it's called a high low scalp because you're just looking for price to break and close past it. But yeah, other than that, I don't think there were too many entries for today. I mean, there was 2 right there. I'll see if I can find another one. I guess there's another one right here, but oh no, actually there's not. Yeah, there weren't too many, at least not today. Okay, this one right here, the candle touched it, but it didn't break and close past it, so no entry. Nothing there. I'll just keep moving across and see if I can find anything, but for the most part, I guess there was maybe one right here. Yeah, there was like another one right here. So again, right here, we already had a bullish bias for the day because obviously retail sentiment fundamentals are bullish. Technicals here are bullish as well. Confirm the previous high low. There's a lower high right there. Price broke and closed past it. Actually, sorry, take that back. There's no momentum here. So there's no entry. Momentum here is a sell. So there's no entry for that one at that point. Yeah, but today there's not too many examples for entry using this specific strategy. Because the market was kind of going back and forth a lot today. So here's an example of no entry. So for example, here price broke and closed past it, but you can see that this candle right here touched the high. So it invalidated that as a high-low scalp. Let's see if there's another one here. Let's see. Martha said, but on that swing, you had a candle that closed past it. Are you talking about this one right here, Martha? The same one that I just drew on? This is invalidated because this candle touched it already. Step 6, confirm price has not touched previous swing before breaking close. So for this one right here, step 6 was invalidated because this candle touched it already. Are you talking about this one before it? So this one right here is not valid because actually, no, this one is valid. There's a buy signal right there. Sorry, I'm confused. Martha, which one are you talking about? Not sure if you're talking about this one over here at 10:04. Okay, 9:20. So you're talking about this one right here, right? Yeah, there's no entry there because the candle didn't break and close past it. And then for this one over here, there's no entry as well because the candles here touched it, but it didn't break and close past it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's a little difficult to see, like for today. There's other days where the high low hits like pretty clear, but today wasn't one of the days where it was that clear. But you get the gist of it, right? If there's any, so what I'd recommend, Martha, is go and test the strategy. If there's something that you're confused with, like you find one that you're not sure if it's an entry or not, just get the timestamp and then we can look back at it. I think that's the best way. You have to make it mistakes, right? Like I think when you guys are learning the strategies, it's trial and error is going to be one of your best friends because you're going to have to make mistakes taking these trades so that you understand what's right and what's wrong. Because if I show you everything that's right, it's going to make it seem like it's going to be super easy to apply. But realistically, it's not that easy, right? Especially real time, if you're waiting for these candles to close, it's not going to be that easy. It's easy here because we're doing this in like slow-mo. But when you're watching the candles move real time, it's going to be difficult because you have to check off all the steps before making entry. So yeah, Martha, if you ever find any entry that you're like confused about or you're not sure if it's like a for sure entry or not, just let me know and then we'll take a look at that. But as long as you get the gist of it, I think you should be pretty much fine. Barty's asking, Sean, you stop using the trend meter. Well, for the specific strategy that we're applying, it doesn't require the trend. So that's why we're not using it. You don't have to use more than you need to, right? So for this strategy here that we apply during the live sessions, there's no requirement to look for trend here. So we don't necessarily avoid using the trend, we just don't need it. So you got to keep things simple, right? You have too many requirements, you're not going to have any entries. So that's why we're not using the trend meter right now. It's still useful if you want to look for the trend, but the trend is not necessary because this is just a quick scalp. Next question from Barty's asking, where can I find the COT data for US 30? It's on the CFTC website. So CFTC.gov. That's where you'll find the COT reports. But guys, just keep in mind, like I'm showing you guys the COT reports, but it's not like a definite thing to look at. Like you can't just be looking at the COT reports and just because institutions are buying doesn't mean that you guys got to take a buy, right? Like that's the main thing I want to make sure that you guys understand. Because every time I show somebody, like every time I show you guys something, you guys think that that's like the end all be, like you guys found the holy grail. Just because you guys found retail sentiment doesn't mean that you should take every single buy, right? Because I remember when I first showed you guys this retail sentiment, literally everyone would just go for buys, even though market was going down. This doesn't make any sense, guys. This is an addition to your strategy. You should have a strategy already, but this is used to confirm your bias. Like just because people are selling doesn't mean that you got to buy every single buy that you see, right? Doesn't guarantee a win. So just keep that in mind. I know I showed you guys the COT here, and I know you guys get excited because you guys see all these numbers and you're like, oh, I know where the institutions are trading. This doesn't necessarily mean that, especially for this right here. The numbers aren't really spread out, right? If the numbers are very huge, like say, for example, there's like 20,000 longs and maybe like 2,000 shorts, then for sure at that point, then yeah, you should probably look for some buys. But right now it's pretty close. It's only up by 6,000 and it's down by 4,000. It's not like a huge difference. So it's still like pretty neutral right now. It's the same with like the retail sentiment, right? I mentioned that I only really use this if this is very lopsided. So if I see this being 65% and then the opposite is like 25% or 35%, then in that case, okay, I'm going to follow this because it's so lopsided in one direction. Right here, it's not really in one direction or the other. It's kind of just right down the middle. It's 46% long, 54% short. So I just want to make sure that you guys understand that because I don't want you guys to be taking trades just because you guys think that you know where the institutions are trading. This data is from March 21st. It's March 27. You're a week late, right? So this data here isn't necessarily the up to date. Like it's not super up to date. They release this data every Friday. So this data technically like follows through to the following week, but it's not necessarily going to be the most accurate data. So just use this as a confluence. Don't use it as there's no strategy for this, right? The only reason I found this is because I've been reading like a lot of those books that I showed you guys on the live. So like one of the most profitable traders in the world uses this, but he doesn't use this as an end all be all. This is just a confluence to identify, where the institutions are trading. Here, let me scroll up real quick, guys. Sorry, I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Or I'll just answer LW's question. So LW is asking, what are you Sorry, I'm assuming LF means looking for, right? Okay, yeah. Hey, you read my mind. So you said, what are you looking for in the CF? I'm not looking at the CTCF report. I'm looking at the COT data. So the COT data here shows you where the institutions are trading. I mean, it's pretty obvious. You just look at it here. This is the Dow Jones. This is US 30. It shows you where the asset managers and institutions are trading. It shows that they're buying, right? So obviously I'm not going to look to sell. It looks like that the retail traders here are selling. So it shows non-reportable positions. These are retail traders. It says 5,291 are long, 9,248 are short, right? So this is where the retail traders are currently trading right now. Majority of them are selling. If you look over here, institutions are currently buying. They're long 6,986 and they're short 4,458. So if the retail traders are short and the institutions are long, am I going to trade with the institutions or am I going to trade with the retail traders, right? Retail traders suck at trading. So for the most part, I'm not going to trade where everybody else is losing. I'm going to trade where the institutions are trading. So that's what I'm looking for here. But this data is delayed. So you guys got to keep that in mind that this data was as of March 21st. It's March 27. It's like 5 days later, 6 days later. So this data isn't necessarily up to date. However, if you look at the COT data for the past couple of months, it's in bullish all March, right? So you can see over here, except for February. So February over here was bearish. But if you look at the COT data from, okay, so from March 7, they were bullish. Let me look at it here. Let me scroll up real quick. CTGI. All right, so you can see over here, it's been since from March 7th, it was bullish, right? The institutions are buying. You look back on March 14th, the institutions are buying. You look back to March 21st, the institutions are buying. If you look at US 30 here, what's been going on? People like price has been going up, right? So if you like traded pretty much all month of March and you took majority of the buy entries, you could have made profit in the market, right? So like basically whenever market dips, you can catch the push to the upside. So that's what I use it for. It's not used as a standalone like indicator, I guess, because I feel like a lot of people think that that's how it's used for, but it's not. You're supposed to use it as a confluence. You know which direction to trade in. So I don't necessarily use it for entries. I just use it to identify the direction. So like, for example, over here, from the first week of March, right, the data would have came out on Friday. All right, so data would have came out on Friday. We wouldn't have traded till Monday. So basically right here, you guys can see that whenever we had a V1 variation, which is a reversal pattern, price pulled back over here, V1 variation, could have taken a buy. Obviously, you're not gonna go for that big of a move. Probably go for like typically when I take trades like this, I try to fill the gap. So I'd probably go for 250. So obviously you can see whenever price provides a reversal pattern, you could take a buy there. And then again, right here, V1 variation, same thing. Take another buy there, full TP. Again, down here, another V1 variation. Take another buy there, full TP. Another V1 variation right here. Take another buy there, full TP. So you guys see how easy it is if you guys can identify where price is going. So for the entire month of March, institutions were buying. So whenever a price pulled back and retraced, if you had a reversal pattern on the bottom, there's a V1 variation there, double body, double wick. You could have taken a buy there, made a ton of profit. So that's what I'm using for the most part. But I mean, there's different ways of using it. The main reason for me to use it is to identify direction. Like I'm not going to trade where the retail traders are trading because the majority of retail traders don't make money trading, right? Like I think what's the percentage? Like 90% of retail traders fail at trading. I mean, probably even more, like 95%. Here, let's see. I'll just Google it. Success rate for retail traders. All right, so it says the data shows that it's normal for 70 to 80% of traders to be unprofitable. So basically out of every 10 traders, only 2 or 3 traders succeed, right? So if everybody sucks at trading, majority of retail traders, I'm not going to trade where they're trading. If they're all selling, I'm going to buy. If they're all buying, I'm going to sell. And then also if that aligns with the with the institutions over here. So like, for example, for this week, there's more retail traders who are selling. Institutions are buying. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to buy. Well, that's what I'm mainly going to do for the most part. I'm not only looking for buys, but for the most part, I'm going to feel more comfortable taking buys here. Basically taking some entries off the pullbacks whenever I see them on the chart here. I mean, CSUK even identified it today. Let me see CSUK's chat with me. See if I could find it. Yeah, so CSUK over here messaged me like at 11:28. He said the use of your use of the COT data is lining up. He used a 1 to 3 risk to reward for a high level momentum scalp off the 1 hour, and he saw that it hit for 4,700 pips. So he marked this up right here. He saw that reversal pattern below, V1 variation, price pushed up, and then he looked for that momentum scalp. It pushed up about 4,700 pips. So that's using my COT data as confluence. We're not necessarily looking for only buys, but we're using this as a confluence. So huge move right there. If if anyone was to cash that, I didn't cash it, of course, but just for reference. All right, so let me scroll up real quick, see if I'm missing anything over here. So CJ's asking if 828, or sorry, let me look back real quick. Sorry, CJ, I just saw your message right now. I should have looked at that earlier when we were looking at it. So we said 626. Yes, so this would be a high-low scalp right there, CJ. So you're right. That was a high-low scalp right there. And then let's see, your other question was 848. So high-low scalp right there, full TP. And then 848. Yes, that one as well. Both the examples that we looked at, CJ. So yeah, you identify those properly. Those are both high-low scalps that hit full TP. Let's see. LW is asking, are you looking for a brand new infinity? Every time you share a website with Pub, it's an infinity. No, not at all. Yeah, I'm definitely not looking for an infinity. I'm looking for a Lambo though. I'm looking for a Urus. I'm not looking for an infinity. I don't know why this comes up on mine. I don't know. I just like, for me at this point, I'm not really, I'm like leveling up my cars. Like I went from like a Lexus to my Tesla Model X, and then now I have my Porsche, and then obviously next I'm going for a Lambo. I'm not trying to go backwards. So yeah, unfortunately, I'm not looking for an infinity. I am looking for a Urus right now. Let me see if there's anything else that I missed here. Scroll down real quick. So I just want to make sure I didn't miss any questions. If there's any questions that I missed, guys, just drop your question in the chat again. There was just a flood of messages here that I was going across. Let's see, CT said the first one, high-low suggested to avoid with a larger candle. Yeah, so CT mentioned this one over here, and I agree with him too, because I think the candle was kind of big, right? I think that's one that we were looking at. Yeah, but CT basically mentioned that, if there's a big candle that comes up, he probably would suggest avoiding it. Or if you do want to enter it, you can enter it for a late entry. Like I think this is one that CT was referring to. The candle was a little big. So in a situation like this, it's not necessary to wait for it. But for me personally, I probably would have waited for it too, because the candle was pretty big. Let me just go back and replay it. Yeah, so for this one right here, you can see how the candle is kind of big, right? So I probably would have waited for it to pull back. So you can see right here how it pulled back. I would have waited for it to pull back a little bit, like the entry that we took this morning for the live session. And then I would have set a buy stop right there. So what I would have done is if price pulled back like that, I'd put a buy stop there. So when price comes back up, like for example, here, it still hasn't filled. But when price does come back up, it pretty much automatically fills your order. And then it'll close you out once it hits your TP up here. So if you want to do that, you can. It's kind of a more advanced way of trading. Like you have to actually know how to put in pending orders and stuff, which is not super necessary. But in my case, that's what I would have done because I would have waited for the pullback. And you can see right here, the candle does push up, fill the order, and go straight to TP. And then it blasts right through TP. Yeah, no, definitely CT. Good feedback on that there, because it's something that should be mentioned. Yeah, LW said, can't wait to master your strategy and get myself a Porsche Macan. Gotta stay modest for now. Yeah, no, the Macan's nice. Get a GTS. Macan GTS is cool. I wouldn't get a base Macan. I mean, because I've driven the base. Like whenever I bring my car in for service, I get the base Macan. It's not it. You get a GTS though, it's nice. Let's see. All right, so Will is asking one question. My shifts are always changing on my job. Could I still trade the momentum scalp strat at different sessions? I mean, yeah, technically you could, but I wouldn't really recommend it, Will. I mean, it depends on what session you're referring to. If you're talking about Asia session, probably not, because there's no volatility. You can't really scalp during Asia as much as you would during New York session. So if you're trading during London, maybe, probably better. But Asia session, it's just way too slow. Like for example, right here, this is Asia session right now, right? The volatility here is way too slow. You're going for 100 pips, right? But then you got to keep in mind that you got to cover the spread. So you're really going for this much of a move. If you try to take any entries here during Asia session, you're going to be holding on to that position for like an hour. So, I mean, technically, yes, you can trade in any other session. Would I do it? Probably not. So, it just depends on your preference. If you can just you don't have to trade every day. Like for example, if you can't trade in the morning, I would just sit out that day and come back another day. If you look at Asia session, sometimes it does move. Like, let me go back real quick. I think like a couple days last week, Asia session was moving. So I don't want to say that it's like impossible to trade during Asia, but it's going to be difficult. Like it's for sure going to be difficult. And I would prefer to just sit it out. Like if you were to ask me personally, if I was to trade during Asia, like if you wanted to trade Asia, you'd probably have to trade closer to London session. So let me see if we can find an entry over here. Okay, so there's an entry right here. Well, so like this happened at 11:42 p.m. So this is late Asia session, getting close to London Open. So right here we have a lower low. Let's replay it. All right, so we got a lower low right here. This bullish momentum candle broken close past the pivots. I'll put the criteria up here. So looking at this right here, identify higher, lower low using high-low indicator. Right here, we have a lower low, identify valid momentum signal using the momentum indicator. There's a bullish momentum right there. Third, confirm price breaking close past pivots 1 and 2 using the pivots indicator. You can see that price broken close past the pivots right here. Step 4, enter on the close of the valid momentum signal. So right there, you enter your long position. You got that set up right there. Well, and this is at night. So like you mentioned, if you can trade in other sessions, this is Asia session on Thursday night of last week. So you can see how this takes a really long time until it hits, right? It hits, like, given it does hit, you're going to be in this position for, I mean, it's not that long. It's 10 minutes, but this is a scalp trade. So you don't want to be holding on to this trade for 10 minutes, right? You want to be in and out rather quickly. So this just goes to show that it does work, but I wouldn't recommend it. All right, let me see if there's any other entries here. All right, here's another one over here. Same thing. Identify higher, lower, low. So higher right here. We have a sell signal. It's breaking, closing past the pivots 1 and 2. You enter a short position right there. TP stop loss setup, 1030 split. You let the trade run. And you can see how long it takes. This thing takes, it's like a snail move. Right, this trade should have hit within 1 or 2 minutes. But if you're holding on to this trade, it would eventually hit, but you'd be in this position stressed out for like a good 20 minutes. See that, Will? So yeah, short answer to your question is I mean, obviously it works, but I wouldn't recommend doing it. I also haven't tested it during Asia session, so it's not one that I'd recommend because I don't actually trade during this time. I mean, I do sometimes, so don't get me wrong. I do trade during Asia sometimes. If the volatility is high, I'll take some trades, but obviously the volatility is it's pretty low. There's another entry right here, and there's like 3 back-to-back wins. So there's one right there, and there's another one right here. We'll show you one more example, and then we'll move on. So again, right here, and this is even earlier. This is at 2200. So this is about like 9 o'clock or 10 p.m. my time. Not sure where you're located, but this is like 9 or 10 p.m. California time. So it's like middle of Asia session. Right here is a lower low. There's a buy signal right here, breaking, closing past the, actually, I wouldn't count this because there is a data freeze right there. You can see there's no data in between. So, I mean, you get the gist of it. It's pretty self-explanatory. It works, but it's not recommended because it's too slow. Question from Natasha. Natasha's asking, how do you know where to set your buy stop, sell stop? The prizes are actually, oh, I think you meant to say prices, Natasha. The prices are a little different on MT4 if you are trading YM, or you go off currency.com and setting. No, I got off the MT4 chart. So I mean, it's pretty easy to figure out where your entry would be, Natasha, because you just look at where the candle closes and it's the same candle on MT4. So if you right click on MT4, and I know you trade on your phone, so it's not going to be beneficial to you. I don't recommend you trade on your phone, but for you, you don't have an option, Natasha. You have to just get in and out. So because you trade on your phone, which is like a huge no for me. I would never recommend anybody trade on their phone. I mean, if it works for you, great. But if you're trading on the computer, if you just look at the chart here, so let me just show you, for example, an entry. Okay, I'll just go to this one right here. This is just an example. I know there's no actual entry here, but I'm just gonna, I mean, there is an entry, but say for example, you're looking at MT4 and you're looking at TradingView. You're gonna see the same candle, right? So your entry is gonna be at that same point. So what you do is you just right click on your MT4. I would drag it over, but it usually corrupts my file and I have to like reinstall MT4. So I'm not gonna do that. But yeah, you would just match this candle up with your MT4 candle. So like if you want to set a sell stop there, say for example, this is your MT4. You have the same red candle. The candles are not different. They're exactly the same. You just go and right click next to it. And when you right click on MT4, it's going to say sell stop, right? You go to trading and then there's a drop down menu and it says sell stop. If you were to set that up, you click sell. It's not on here, but on MT4, it'll say sell stop and you'll click sell stop and then it'll set up your order there. So that's how you would set it up. But yeah, since you're trading on your phone, it's not going to be ideal. Like you can't, I mean, technically you could, there's ways to do it. What I would do if you're on your phone, actually, I wouldn't do that. You would just have to take the order manually, like how you normally do. So you'd have to take it manually. One way that you could do it, Natasha, is you can open up your, let me see. So you could open up your MT4 app, and then on your MT4 app, you can draw a horizontal line. So I'm going to try to do it on my own phone real quick. All right, so if you chart up US 30, you open up the chart, you go to the 1 minute, and you'll see that there's candles on your chart, right? Obviously, there's candles on your chart. What you can do is you can set up, or you can just put your arrow at the close of the candle and you'll get the price right there. So if you put your, like, I mean, I would show it to you, but I can't because I can't live stream it to the thing. But you do it the same way that you look for price on your phone. But I mean, I don't think you're gonna have enough time to do that. You're just gonna have to enter right away. By the time you look at the price on your phone, it's already too late. Price is probably at TV at that point. So yeah, unfortunately, it's gonna be really difficult for you to take any pending orders on your phone, especially for scalping. For scalping on your phone, you just have to do it manually and then watch MT4 or watch the live and then exit when it hits TP on TradingView. Yeah, LW said thing is on the phone, you cannot set TP stop loss super quick like on the PC using the F2Mo quick trade manager. And I agree with you too, LW, 100%. It's just, it's impossible. Like for me, it's impossible. I know other people do it. Like I see your profits every day, Natasha. So you do fine on your phone. It's just for me personally, I don't want that stress. Like that stress would trip me out, right? Because if you enter a trade and then it hits TP already and you're still in the trade, you're gonna be holding on to that position longer than you want. But I mean, you did pretty good today. Didn't you post profits, Natasha? I think you did. If not, maybe you did yesterday. Yeah, maybe not today, but yeah, you didn't trade today. Yeah, but you've been doing pretty good. Like I think on Friday you did all right. There's a lot of profits on Friday. Yeah, right here. So you did pretty good on that day. This is on the 23rd, locked in 196. So I mean, you're able to do it because you know how to do it well on your phone. You've probably been doing it enough to feel comfortable with entering positions on your phone. But for me personally, I think it's too stressful for me because I would hate to enter a trade with 100 lots and I'm in profit 1,000. I turn around and I try to close out and I'm like negative 100, right? Because you got to be really fast on your phone. Yeah, LW said I love trading my phone, but on those lot size without TP stop loss, I cannot do it personally. The rest of my trading is done on the phone, but with those lot sizes stressful. And I agree with you too, LW. Like if I was using a smaller lot size where the price would fluctuate maybe like a couple dollars or even a couple $100, that'd be cool. But using 100 lot, I think fluctuates to like $1,000 within seconds. So I can't do it on my phone. It's just it'd be too stressful for me. Yeah, CJ's asking, or he mentioned, there are instances in which I want to enter a trade using the high level momentum, but I will see a gap and don't enter, but it will still hit. Should I overlook the gaps or continue sitting out when I see them? So for me personally, CJ, I would just take them because for my back test, I disregarded the gaps. I'm not sure if you're on YM or not. If you're YM, there shouldn't be a gap. Like I think, is Jacob here? Jacob's not here. So Jacob actually posted this earlier. So he said this is why it's important to have YM data. So Jacob was on currency.com and you see this big gap right here. This is why he missed the trade from this morning. So from this morning, it was, I think it was this one right here, right? No, it wasn't. It was before 8. It was this one right here. Okay. So this is why it's important to have like the best data possible, because if you're not using YM, like for example, here, there was no gap because we have the data directly from the exchange. So we have like the best data that you can possibly get. I mean, there's better data, but this is, for $5 a month, you're going to get pretty much the best data that's available. Unless you get ICE, which is like $100. I don't think it's necessary. I think this is good enough, but you guys can see the difference here. So this is YM and this is currency.com. Or I don't know what data he was using, but Jacob was on the wrong data set. And you can see here that the candles look nothing alike, right? Like this green one looks okay, it's lined up. This red one looks kind of okay, but this one over here is like, it's an empty candle. So this right here is a huge empty candle. And that was actually a momentum signal right there. So yeah, if you're not using currency.com, or if you're not using YM, you're going to get data issues. But for me personally, CJ, I would just take the trade because all of my backtesting, well, again, I do my backtesting on YM, so I don't really have those gaps. But yeah, if you saw something like this, obviously there's no entry because there's no buy signal or sell signal. But if there was, I would probably still take it. Gotcha. Okay, CJ. Yeah, if you see a gap and it's on YM, I would still take it. You just want to make sure that it fits criteria. So let me show you an example here. I think there was an entry this morning where I thought it was going to break through, but then it ended up closing below. I think it might have been this one, right? Or I can't remember where it was. But I remember there was an entry that we were looking at on the live. Might have been this upcoming sell. Yeah, like this one right here. So for this one right here, you got to make sure that the criteria is met. So like this candle over here already broke and closed below it. Sometimes you'll see where this candle will like break and close below it, and then the next candle will be above the pivots, right? So it looked like there's still an issue there, but realistically, this candle already broke and closed below it. So I wouldn't necessarily look to take the next trade. I would have just skipped it. So that's the difference between me taking it and me not. I think there was one pre-market actually. I remember someone in the chat mentioned it this morning. So I was looking to take a trade, but then the candle like kind of it closed like after the fact. I just can't remember where it was, but I remember we looked at it. I think it was this one right here, right? Actually, no, it wasn't. I don't know, but you guys kind of get what I'm saying, because sometimes you'll see the pivots will close. Like this is kind of an example here, but it's not exactly an entry because there was a sell signal right here. But like sometimes you'll get this where this candle here closed above it, right? So this candle here closed above the pivots, but this one opened below it. So technically this candle already closed above it. But if you look at this candle here, it starts below and it's actually below the pivots. So if you see something like this, then I wouldn't take it, CJ. Let's see, Sam said, come over to C-Trader, been using their mobile app for 3 years now, and it just keeps getting better. That's what I heard too, Sam. I heard from other people that C-Trader is not allowing US clients anymore though. So I don't think we can, well, I don't think I can use it. But yeah, I mean, personally, I don't know. I've never used C-Trader, but I always see you and Wesley use it and Barack, and it looks cool. Like I personally like it, but I just you know, because I think the C-Trader app uses IC markets. That's why it's good too, because IC markets is like probably one of the best brokers in my opinion. Let me see Barack. Yeah, because Barack sometimes posts his profits, and like when he posts, yeah, so he's using FTMO on the C-Trader app. I don't know if we can do it for US clients, but yeah, I mean, if you guys had the opportunity, it does look like a cooler app to use. But I don't know. Can't really say too much for it. The only reason I like using MC4 is because of my copier. So that's pretty much the main reason for me specifically. Other than that, let's see. So Zach over here posted his profits. He said he made it into the green today. Total profit of 2,262. He had 2 losses, over traded a bit, but he made it back into profit. So that's a key thing there. Sure, bro. Great recovery. Yeah, no, it seems like some people took like they over traded a bit today, or they just took some random trades. But it seems like everybody made it back into profit by the end of the session. Let's see. All right, LW. We'll see you back here tomorrow. So LW is signing off for the day. So I'll see you back here tomorrow morning. Yeah, Sam, I don't know about C-Trader, but I heard from other people, because I know other people in the group tried to use C-Trader, but they said that they're not accepting US clients. I don't know why, but that's what they mentioned. I think they use a different broker for C-Trader, that's why, or different broker data. And certain brokers that use C-Trader, they don't allow US clients. Like IC Markets doesn't, LMAX doesn't. There's a couple of the brokers that are really good, but they don't accept US clients. All right, guys, if there's any other questions, feel free to put your questions in the chat. I don't really have anything else to cover today. If you guys want me to look over more examples from today's, not necessarily live session, but I can show you if there's any other entries here. Oh, let me show you the one that I took after. All right, so we got off the live session today around like 8 o'clock, and I took one last trade, which is this one right here. So like we literally got off the live session here at like 8:20, I believe, or 8:15, something like that. And then as soon as price came down right here, it established a lower low. Price broke and closed past the pivots right there. I'll put the criteria again. So for today, there was only 3 entries that came up between 6:30 and 9. Because you guys have seen from my back test that that's pretty much where the best entries come up, between 6:30 and 9. So there was only about 3 entries that you would consider official, or actually maybe 4 right here. No, so this one right here actually broke below it. This was the example that I was looking at earlier, where I wouldn't have taken it because this candle would have broke below it. But anyways, so this is the entry I took right after the live session. There's a lower low right here, valid momentum signal right there, price broken close past pivots 1 and 2. All the criteria is met, would have entered this for a long position right there, 100 pips. And this is the one that I took. It's not an account towards results because I didn't take this during the live session, but I did take this myself personally. So you can see how it blasted right through TP. So this is one that I took after the live session. It like came literally as soon as we got off the live. But the ones that we took on the live session today were this one here. Higher high, candle broken close below the pivots, short position right there, full TP. So this is one of the entries we took. And the other entry we took was, I believe, over here for a sell, this one. There's a higher high, sell signal right there, broken close below the pivots. And that was the entry right there for a sell. So there was 2 entries that were official today. It was this one up here and this one down here. And then I took this one right here after the live session. If I stayed on the live session for maybe a few more minutes, we could have taken it. But other than that, that's pretty much all the entries that came up today between 6:30 and 9. So 3 wins, 0 losses, applying the high level momentum scalp strategy for today. 2 that we caught during the live session that are official, and then 1 that I took on my own, which is not going to count. So, all right, guys, if there's any other questions, feel free to put your questions in the chat. Any confusion or anything that you guys want me to review, just feel free to let me know. If there's no other questions, we'll wrap this up for the day. We've been on this session for about an hour. I'm willing to stay on longer. It just depends on if there's any other questions. So yeah, if you guys are new here, again, just a reminder, if you guys want to learn these strategies, go ahead and go to our website, kodikaitrades.com. Click on unlock your free access right here, and you'll get access to pretty much all the strategy videos. If you guys want to rewatch any of the previous live sessions, just click on this link right here, or go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/kodikaitrades. Click on live, or you can just scroll down. All the ones with the blue background are previous live sessions. All the ones with the yellow background are previous results. So you can see here, every single day of the year, everyone's locked in profits. So if you go over here to live trading results, I think I've been documenting everybody's trades in videos since December. So since December 2nd up until today, there hasn't been one day where not at least one person in the group has profited. So every single day, at least one person is profitable in the group, whether it be me or whether it be any of the other members. There's profits every single day. So if you guys want to rewatch any of the profits for any of the days, you can pull it up here. If you guys want to watch any of the previous mentoring sessions, click on the ones with the green background. These are all the mentoring sessions once a week or twice a week. And then all the strategies are in the red. So yeah, if you guys want to watch that, pull up the YouTube channel. But other than that, I think that's about it. So if you guys have any other questions, feel free to email me. You can email me, Sean@kodikaitrades.com. Otherwise, you guys can message me on Telegram @KodiKaiTrades with any questions that you guys have. But other than that, I think that's it. So, all right, guys, we're going to wrap this up, and I'll see you guys back here tomorrow for the next live session as we continue on with this trading week.